You're now tuned in to the Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Your host, Ryan Green, joined as always by my co-host, Michael Eck.
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's
You
doing
guys
good.
know the drill. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tell your friends. If you got friends that are into fantasy football, let them know about us. We're just trying to do our thing here. So yeah, how you been, Meek?
Dude, I've been doing good, man. I hope your weekend was great. I hope everybody's listening. The weekend was great and tuned in. Draft day recap. How do you feel like the Giants did?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. We acquired good draft capital for next year, as we talked about in our
Yeah,
previous pod. So yeah, I can't complain.
definitely. Ravens, man, same thing. Smashing
Yeah,
on wide receivers, defense. Made it early. But yeah, I'm excited, dude. Now the next step is just watching the news and can't, man. We're there. We're getting there. We're getting
I
there.
know, dude. So close, but so far.
I know. It's
Real
yeah.
quick, before we get into breaking balls here, um, I would just like to tell everyone that in our home fantasy football league, we do last place has a punishment. Unfortunately for Michael Eck over there, he happened to get screwed pretty badly. Ended
Yeah.
up in last place. So his
Well,
punishment is he has to sit on a busy road in our hometown with a sign that says "I suck at fantasy football." Lightweight, but it's our first time doing punishment, so
let's
it's kind of stuff
let's
for him. But I just wanted to ask how you're feeling that time is approaching.
that time is approaching, and let's be clear that I have more first place and second place, third place finishes than I do last place. It's my first time in 6 years, 7 years playing fantasy ever finishing in last. And it was mainly because I decided to trade half my team for pass catching back and Christian McCaffrey, knowing that my wide receiver Calvin Ridley and Derrick Henry have a juicy schedule towards the end of the year, and they should have heated up, and I could have went to the playoffs at like a 6 seed with Henry and McCaffrey. And I probably would have rolled on everybody with Waller at my tight end, Dobbins in my flex, Corey Davis as my wide receiver two, Matt Ryan or Taysom Hill, at quarterback until I was so confident in my team, and man, it backfired.
That's the
And
beauty of fantasy, man.
take that risk, but yeah, dude, as it gets closer and closer, I'm excited. I guess it's a once in a lifetime thing. I use this fire, and I'm never gonna let it happen again. And for sure, it's gonna light me up this year, and I'm coming for blood. No one's gonna be able to stop me this year. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's it. Let's get into some breaking balls.
yes, sir. I'm agreeing on that. Let's go, man. Let's go. Breaking balls. Yeah, as you know, breaking balls is our news segment. Ryan, what do you got for us on the news today?
Aaron Rodgers. Holy shit.
Spiciness,
What's going
spiciness,
on, bro?
dude.
What is
Spiciness.
going on? What do you think's gonna happen?
Oh my god, I don't know, but Jeopardy. His, and I don't mean this in the fashion of he's going to host Jeopardy, but I mean Adams is in jeopardy. Aaron
Yeah,
Jones is
that
in
whole
jeopardy.
offense.
That whole team is in jeopardy.
Let it be
Uh,
known, if you don't know already, listeners, that Aaron Rodgers, there's been rumors that he's not going to return to the Packers. He's upset with the GM and how they've handled the team.
I think
Reasonably, rightfully so, I should say, that they haven't done anything, put pieces around him. He has some pieces, but they invested in a quarterback and a running back last year. So that's just to
and
update you if you didn't know. But
and
go ahead.
this year their first pick was a corner, I believe, right? So I think the word he used was disgruntled by the
Mm-hmm.
front office, and he was expecting to be traded on Wednesday before the draft. And on top of that, he also was recently been leaked that he talked about one of his wide receivers, one of the third strings, Jacob Kumaro. He liked him so much, and what does the front office do? They cut him. So they're out to hate Rodgers, but yet Rodgers gives them everything. And man, this is right away. If he retires or goes to Jeopardy, goes to a different team, Adams drops. Where do you have Adams if this happens? I'm
If
curious to your
Rodgers isn't
thoughts.
there
Yeah,
and Jordan Love is taking over, Adams is obviously Adams, so he still has to be ranked fairly high, but he drops considerably from that number one receiver spot to
absolutely.
maybe my top 10 area around where I have Michael Thomas currently because of that
You,
uncertainty there.
you see, I have him going He's so good. He's gonna get open. I think he'll be 5 for me. Further evaluation, he might drop a little bit, debating on
Mhm.
who else is there. But the real possibility is, if they lose Aaron Rodgers, do they make a push for, like say Rodgers retires, do they make a push for Jimmy G? There's talks
It's
about Jimmy,
possible. Yeah, right.
and
Exactly.
then something like that can happen, or even like Drew Lock or somebody if he's not happy because Bridgewater took over. So it would be interesting to see. But I definitely have Adams, like we said, is such a good wide receiver. There's no way you can rank him too low. Uh, yeah, but Aaron
Just
Jones.
sucks.
What about Aaron Jones? I know he's pass catching work
That
right there.
that's a little bit more like he's not getting the ball thrown to him. Like his production doesn't come solely on the performance of Jordan Love. So Jones will still be ranked pretty high, just maybe not as
As
high.
high, yeah, because you gotta think about the offense as a whole will take a chunk. It'll
Yeah,
definitely go down. So, those drives that might be 3rd and 6, Aaron Rodgers will be able to extend, and Jordan Love might not. So
right, exactly.
that loses
And
touches and the offense not being versatile.
also screws us Giants fans because we got their first round pick, the Bears first round pick. So if Rodgers sits out, add 2 more wins
For the
potentially
Bears,
to the Bears.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, man.
All right.
It's gonna be fun to watch. Definitely on Aaron Rodgers watch all week in the
Mhm.
month. So we'll see.
That brings us to our next little piece of news was the Bears actually cut their left tackle Charles Leno, who's been their starter for I think 6 years. It is. They drafted Tevin Jenkins, obviously, who we spoke a lot. We both liked a lot
Yeah,
in our
abs-
pre-draft mock that we did.
absolutely.
So it shows that it's in with the young, out with the old.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tevin Jenkins, there's nothing. You like this guy. Everybody likes this guy, and it's just one of those moves that's gonna happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Next, we got Rashad Penny's fifth-year option was declined by the Seahawks. So obviously, that shows a lot of faith in Chris Carson, who hopefully they reach an extension sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Is he on the tag or is he just signed cheap? I forget.
I believe they tagged him.
Okay.
I
So whatever
believe
it is, either way, he's there. He's there
he's
on a 1 year
there.
deal.
Yeah,
So
he's there.
this just does show that they have faith in him and not faith in Penny.
And they lost.
Um,
They did lose Carlos Hyde, but this also means they like. I believe he's still there as DJ Dallas when he stepped
DJ
up for
Dallas.
2 weeks
Yep.
last year. So I think they like him more as a second over Penny, who's been dealing with injuries. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. So nothing really much
Availability
there.
is the best ability.
In other news, I should say, Lamar got picked up for anybody who has Lamar 5th-year option. He was they picked up that option. So dynasty players who had Lamar, if you draft him late because he wasn't a high prospect, congratulations, you have him again locked up. No question there, he was going to be locked up, franchise QB, but it's just awesome
Right.
if the Ravens locked him up.
Next fifth-year option, Calvin Ridley,
Picked up,
as expected. It's all good. I think they declined Hayden Hurst, which shocker, obviously
yeah,
Kyle
yeah.
Pitts.
Hayden Hurst. What about him? Can we talk about him actually? Can we go on to that real quick? I know Hayden
Mm,
Hurst traded from the Ravens because he wanted to be a tight end with one on a team. He lost his job to Mark Andrews, as we know. Went to the Falcons, who just lost Austin Hooper, and now they bring in Kyle Pitts. What do you
yeah.
think? Like, what's up with Hurst there? You think he's gonna leave?
Uh,
Want to be gone? You think he'll be a
well,
2
he'll have no choice after this year to leave. So maybe he goes somewhere, a needy team, and he can play a role. But his fantasy days, I think, are
or
over.
limited? I mean, they never really started to begin with, so
Right. So,
there was hopes.
uh,
There was definitely hopes.
speaking of tight ends here, Howie Roseman was talking up Zach Ertz. I forget the quote exactly. It was something like, "He's a great person, like a great football player, and he's on our roster." So he's going to remain there for the season, which hurts Goddard, obviously. But yeah, so Ertz is going to be on the Eagles for 2021.
Talking about tight ends, Tim Tebow, anything on that?
No, nothing, Tim.
Imagine.
If they bring him in, man.
I feel if they bought him in, they just use him like a Taysom Hill sort of thing.
Mm,
Nothing more. Don't expect him to be a plug-in guy. Taysom Hill, when he didn't play QB, you didn't play him, and that's to be
yep,
the same thing with Tim Tebow if he's there.
exactly. Uh,
Next,
Broncos. There's a report that the Broncos are going to split the QB snaps 50-50 between Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I hope that they're talking about, camp and preseason and until someone wins.
yeah,
But if they're coming out this weird set with like going back and forth between quarterbacks, that's going to hurt the entire offense as a whole. So keep an eye on that. And we'll obviously update you guys as we learn more.
yeah, that would suck, man. I mean, I personally am a fan of Locke, but after last year, I'm not a fan anymore. I mean, he's going downhill. It definitely
Yeah.
is going downhill. Uh, I like Bridgewater too, so I'm excited to see. I don't want that to be happening. I don't want it to be 50-50. That'd be nasty to see.
Yep. And our last bit of news here is the Chargers are showing interest in Todd Gurley. Now, as far as an indictment on Eckler, not a chance. That's just an early down plotter. Eckler's more that third down, catch the ball to get his fantasy production anyway. So if that happens, that's just pretty much another. What's the guy? Josh Kelly, another Josh Kelly out there.
Or yeah, Josh Kelly
I wouldn't be
and
worried
Justin
about that.
Jackson, who are the backups. You pretty
Yeah,
much scratch them off if Gurley's there. That's Eckler's job, man.
yeah.
Eckler, phenomenal player, pretty much. So,
So that's it for breaking balls here. You want to get into our first segment?
I mean, real
You got
quick,
anything else for us?
just real quick, Sony Michel,
Oh
and
yes.
they declined his 5th-year option, which again probably is as expected. He kind of dealt with injuries the last 2 years and on a decrease. Um, so there's more room there for Harris and James White, Damian Harris, that is. But
Speaking of that, I did see a report as well that it was going to be a two-headed monster with Michelle and Damian Harris on the early down. So not
okay,
fun for fantasy.
nope.
So I would just avoid that situation entirely.
Yeah. Only other news I can really think of is Cortland Sutton has been apparently rehabbing terrifically. They said from his
Good,
ACL injury that he
very
suffered
good.
last year in the preseason, which definitely was devastating to a lot of people who drafted him. Yeah, it's just good news, man. That's so. Other than that, I can't really think of anything. If you're ready to move on, we can go to our next segment that we have for you guys,
Let's
which
do
is
it.
we're going to be talking about. We call it Rookie Watch. It's where we gonna obviously the 2021 draft just happened, and we had a reaction video. If you haven't watched that, go to our last video. We cover rounds 1 through 3, where we like the offensive players mainly on where they landed and how much we like them in their fantasy impact.
Yeah,
This is just going to talk about our rookies that we are going to watch that we're excited about coming into this year. And Ryan, you can start off. I think number one is obvious to all of us.
yeah. Real quick though, before we get into this, for our
Go ahead,
favorite
man.
rookies, these are going to be our, the obvious producers in their first year,
Yeah.
or at least who we think is going to have a significant season. We're not going to go over all the rookies in this segment, just the ones that are in the best situations and potentially have the highest upside for fantasy football. So I'll
Yeah.
start off here. Obviously, Najee Harris to the Pittsburgh
Exactly.
Steelers. This one's self-explanatory. It
So
goes to a great offense. Well, uh, usually a great offense with a good defense. So positive game script for Najee. Obviously, we also touched on this in our previous episodes that Mike Tomlin is not a split backfield kind of guy. He does lean on that workhorse, thank God. So Najee Harris, what do you got on him, Meek?
yeah, I mean Najee Harris, like you said it great, man. Steelers usually Mike Tomlin offers a bell cow. We saw that with Le'Veon Bell. We saw with James Conner. Even when James Conner got hurt, it's usually a bell cow behind him, whether Snell gets 20 carries or Samuels gets 20 carries. So I like Najee Harris coming in here right away. That offense changed to more of a short pass offense last year, and this could definitely help Najee and get that run attack going. I like him, man. I like him a lot, and instant top 12 RB in my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just because all the other scenarios that are going on. So I wouldn't mind putting him at number 11, honestly, or 12.
Yeah.
I really like him. I'm excited for this kid. That's
Yeah, this is the time
hurts me
for
to
us
say
to
that though. It does hurt
yeah,
me
I
to say
know it's
that.
tough for your vision. But yeah, this is the time where we're obviously going to get more in depth in our rankings with all the landing spots that have occurred. So we'll find out where he ranks when we get into
Yeah.
that. All right, number 2, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, man, and it's Devontae Smith here at the Eagles. We talked about this a little bit in our segment, how the Eagles, we kind of laughed about how the Eagles would make this mistake again, and it is a mistake in my opinion, but it's no other really weapons are there for the Eagles, and Jalen Hurts, if he starts getting to his own and he wants to, he's played with Devontae Smith in the past at Alabama. Um, wasn't his number one option in Alabama, but he was still there, and Hurts could definitely rely on him, build a bond with him. And he was a Heisman winner, so obviously he's got talent. The kid's talented, and he could definitely come in if he stays healthy and be the number one target for Hurts, and that could lead to positive things on both Hurts' side and Devontae Smith here. So
Mm-hmm.
it's fun stuff to look forward to on that team too.
Exactly. Just the fact that there's no dominant wide receiver one there, and obviously now with Ertz remaining on the roster, no clear cut number one like tight end that gets funneled these targets. Devonta Smith has the potential to come right in and be a fantasy producer in year one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Travis Fulgham, real quick. Last year had I think 4 or 5 games where he was the wide receiver one, which before that, Travis Fulgham wasn't even a relevant name in any sort of football news. So that's how much Smith can come in and take over. So
Yep.
go ahead, man. Number 3, let's go.
All right.
I
Number 3,
like
we got
this.
Jamar Chase. Now, also, this is not in any specific order.
Yeah.
Najee Harris is our clear-cut one,
Mhm.
but the rest of these are not in any order. It's just the
It's
guys
kinda
that we think will have the most impact.
Yeah, we're just throwing
Just
it
want to
off
put
there.
that out there before you're like, Devonta Smith over Jamar Chase. But
Or
anyway,
even like Lawrence or Wilson. I mean, Wilson or Lance. These no
right,
order, but
right.
go ahead.
So, obviously, Jamar Chase is a freak. You don't get drafted that high if you're not. He has chemistry with Joe Burrow. The new regime, not new regime, the front office has invested obviously a high draft pick in him, so they're gonna use him. They're not gonna just neglect him. Joe Burrow, the chemistry with him could clearly show from week one. He doesn't have to settle in with them. He can just get right to what they did in college. So, and we touched on this again in our previous episode that there was over 100 vacated targets from AJ Green. The number is 104.
Yep,
So if Jamar Chase gets 104 targets from Joe Burrow,
that's
they're
insane.
going to be those high value targets, and he
Yep.
can get it done for fantasy quite easily.
That would be awesome for a rookie to have 100 targets coming in like that. It sucks for Higgins and Boyd, man, because I like them guys, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. They're obviously, like you said, invested in a high pick, so it's gonna happen sooner rather than later. And I just want to try to get a little perspective here. Like Higgins last year as a rookie had 108 targets, and I know you said AJ Green had 104, so it could still be Higgins gets 100 targets, Boyd gets 100, who he had 110 last year, and then the other 100 goes to Jamar Chase, and they
Yep.
all could be wide receiver twos. So
Yeah. Exactly.
it's fun to watch, man. I like that. Uh,
Sir.
the fourth one on our list, which again, not a list, but it's just we have them all here like that. We're gonna go with Trey Lance, the 49ers, and the reason why we're kind of excited about this, he might not have the starting job right away, but Jimmy G has dealt with injuries. We all know that. Uh, but when they make the switch to Trey Lance, the rushing upside definitely helps on a rushing team. Kyle Shanahan has definitely used, running backs throughout his whole offensive coordinator and head coaching, and now he can get that rushing quarterback and a dual threat. So you have the rushing upside there, which is great. And again, I can't touch on it. Kyle Shanahan is an offensive-minded guy. Falcons 40-point games. 49ers always in the game offensively, and their defense is so good that they can just run the ball a lot. And it just gives Trey Lance nothing but upside for your quarterback position.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same exact way. Once he takes over, if it's not immediate, then it could be good things for fantasy.
Yeah, man.
All right, next we got Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to come in. He's going to overtake Hayden Hurst immediately. He is a freak. If you haven't watched Kyle Pitts, I advise you to go watch. Just watch his highlights. He just mosses people.
Dude,
Elite tight end. You're drafted as the 4th overall pick. Like that's
he
not a fluke. A
not even
freak.
no, cut you off, Ryan. Not even just a fourth
Go ahead.
overall pick, but the first actual receiver over
Right.
Chase,
Right.
over
Exactly.
Waddle, over the Heisman and Devontae Smith. He was the
Yep.
first pass catcher to go.
Yep. And obviously you touch on this a lot is how much Matt Ryan throws the ball. They're going to be funneling targets his way when he's just dominating these linebackers and these nickel corners that are small. Doesn't match up well for them. So Pitts could come in and be one of those rare things we see out of tight ends where they come in and they produce tight end one numbers.
Yeah.
As a rookie.
Yeah, Matt Ryan will throw for 5,000 yards with 17 games next year. So Pitts, man, where do you see him? Like, where would you draft? What rounds I can't speak, man. Earliest round you take Pitts.
Earliest round.
PPR.
All right, here's what I'll say. I'm not going to put a round on it because that's too much of a variable. But I'll say that after Mark Andrews, well, all right, after the first 3, obviously Kelsey, Kittle, and Waller. If you wanted to go Pitts over Mark Andrews and T.J. Hawkinson, I wouldn't bat an eye about it. So around that tier, right, with those guys.
So like round 6, 5.
4 or 5, I could see him
You go
going
for?
early.
All right, yeah, because I I know we're far away from the draft, but I already got like Kittle and Kelsey potentially second round picks.
Yep.
Waller like a
If not
third.
first for Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey, with the law changes to the running backs and Adams possibly, yeah, he could squeak in.
Yep.
And a third round maybe Waller, and then that's where you get that fourth, fifth round is where you can get Hawkinson and Andrews. So yeah. All right, man. We're gonna go to the next one here on the list is Justin Fields. What a steal for the Chicago Bears. I salute that franchise for making this decision on trading up, seeing that he was still there. Broncos, I don't know what you were thinking, but all right, Bears, dude. Bears got themselves a guy. This kid's gonna come in. He's ready, rushing upside. There's comparison that he looks like Cam Newton, and we all know what Cam Newton meant for fantasy. If you had Cam Newton any year in fantasy, the rushing upside, the 2 yard touchdown. Even last year, if you played him in some games, he had more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. But Fields has he'll develop that arm and develop. And he's got Allen Robinson there, but Allen Robinson is a freak. He'll throw the ball. He has such a good catch radius. So everything about Fields is likable. You just gotta wait. He's gonna learn behind Dalton. They said Dalton's a starter still. It's just a matter of time when Fields takes over, and Fields is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I can't even add anything to that. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he
When?
takes
Yep,
over.
exactly.
And when he does, that's a guy you can plug in and start.
Yeah. All
All
right,
right,
brother.
I'll take this next one here. We're going down to the Jets. Michael Carter.
Run left.
Now, Michael Carter is is a very good running back. The Jets are not a very good team. However, they did invest a lot into that offensive line.
Run
They have a
left.
rookie quarterback and a new coaching regime. So Michael Carter, yeah, exactly. Run left.
I
Elijah Vera Tucker and Mekhi Becton on that left side of that line. Run left is right. So he has a lot of potential behind, a decent offensive line with a rookie quarterback. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and I see a lot of good things coming his way. Obviously, held down a little bit by being on a bad team, but if he does take over that lead role and he gets workhorse volume, then that's a guy that you can plug in as an RB2 every week.
I also want to note. Actually, is he not there?
What you got on him, Meek?
No, I'm trying to think. I thought they had a center, the center from the Panthers that retired a few years ago, who's really good. I just don't remember. I don't think he's there. I think he actually retired again or left. But yeah, that left side is so beefy that they should just run left with him. Vera Tucker's a beast, and Becton was awesome last year. You know, I'm excited. And again, it's one of those scenarios. The head coach is different. I keep touching about Robert Saleh being new, but he was with the 49ers. He's seen Kyle Shanahan and use his running back, so he's going to take a thing or two. He's going to learn. I think that Michael Carter will beat out Tevin Coleman eventually and be that our potential squeak into RB1 at the end of the year. He actually has a good shot if he takes over that lead role early. Other than that, man, that Jets team just needs to be able to play good. They drafted well, I think. So next, I like for the Lions here is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Hey, Meek,
Hey.
we might have to do our first little bit of editing here. I can't hear you at all.
Okay.
It says you're muted on Discord.
Yeah, we're good. It's technical
Okay.
difficult. We'll keep that. We'll keep that in.
I think they could still hear you. I
Yeah.
just couldn't.
Yeah, it's all right, guys. I was muted. My partner couldn't hear me. We're good. Anyway, moving forward, it's all right. Technical difficulty. That's what happens when we go this remote, away, home away from home sort of thing.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely the next guy coming up here on the list, and he got drafted to the Lions. There are no legitimate wide receiver ones on the Lions anymore. Losing Kenny Galladay, even Marvin Jones. Mohamed Sanu, there's no one there. It's Bashard Perriman and Tyrell Williams, who both Tyrell Williams dealt with injuries the last 2 years, and Perriman's been a bust since he got into the league. It's up for grabs.
Yeah, this was we both thought that they were going to address this in the first round. They didn't. Obviously, Penei Sewell fell to them. So that's the no-brainer pick for them. It was a good pick. But Amon-Ra St. Brown was the first receiver off the board for the Lions. He's going to come in and immediately be the wide receiver one. He's a rookie. He's the most upside out of all the receivers on the team. And, Goff's going to have to throw to someone that's not named TJ Hawkinson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be the guy.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm excited. to watch that team and the wide receivers. They have some young guys to come in and see what they can do. Moving
Sir.
on.
All right. Last but not least, Trevor Lawrence. So initially, I didn't know if I wanted to address him. I know that he's a very good quarterback, but the Jags are not a very good team. And then I started thinking about the Minshew days. Minshew was a guy you could plug in any given week and squeeze 20 points out of him. If Trevor Lawrence
Minshew
is who
Magic.
everyone thinks he is, right? If is who everyone thinks he is, then you can plug him in and get that same production as a QB1 week in and week out. Obviously, some down weeks, but that's with every streaming quarterback. So I like Trevor Lawrence to come in. He has a lot of weapons. Obviously, DJ Chark is there. Laviska Shenault is there. Is very good. Showed promise. So I like Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I do too. He immediately brings in that rushing upside too as a rookie. He definitely did that a lot in college. His head coach now is a previous college coach, in Urban Meyer. Uh, this personally, man, I think this means a lot for DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault. They're definitely gonna go up increase because now they actually have a competent quarterback throwing them the ball. I'm excited, dude. I can't wait to watch that first Sunday of Trevor Lawrence's game. I honestly might turn off I might dedicate the big screen to Jacksonville's game. Just because I want to see Trevor Lawrence. It's gonna be so fun to watch. I'm so excited. I just want to also touch on before we switch. I know you said I was the last guy, but I'm excited for Zach Wilson on the Jets. I think it's another scenario. He inherits a kind of a bad offense. It could have been Trevor Lawrence on the Jets if the Jets would have just thrown a few games, but they tried against the Raiders. Um, but Zach Wilson will inherit a bad team, good offense, a good coach, and I think he's got decent weapons around him and decent O line. He could be potentially in the same category. He doesn't run as much, but he could be positive guy to look for in the next few years. So
Yeah, he's obviously he's a talented quarterback, but we haven't seen fantasy relevance from a Jets quarterback in
in a
so
while,
long, or something like I got to see it to believe it,
yeah,
and then maybe pick him up off the waivers.
yeah.
All right, let's get into our next segment here, Mike.
Yeah, our next segment is the Zers, the sleepers, the good old sleep guys. These
Yes, sir.
are, if you don't know, if you're new to fantasy, sleepers are people who usually don't play in your lineup or are thought about in your lineup, but as the season gets closer and even the season's upon you, these guys can be picked up last minute or on the waiver, and you can plug them in or hold on to them for a week or two before they blow up because other
Hmm.
people don't really know about them yet.
Yeah,
I'll let you start off, man, with the first. I mean, again, the same thing. It's not a category. It's not 1 through 15. It's just these are guys that we all group together. They're all sleepers in our mind right now. So go ahead, man. You got the first guy.
just another thing with sleepers. Uh, very rarely do they pan out the way that you want them to.
Yeah,
They're very risky, but guys that obviously have potential, as you said. So, all right. So, the first one I'm going to go with is Trey Sermon. The 49ers drafted him. We always talk about how Kyle Shanahan is the running back whisperer here. So, if he comes in and, Mostert goes down and the other guys aren't really cutting it, Sermon is probably the guy that's going to take over. Obviously, they invested a fairly high pick. I believe it was the third or fourth round. So, that you can still get a starter out of those rounds. So,
believe
I
it
like
was a
Trey
third.
Sermon as a little bit of a sleeper here if
Yep.
things go right.
Yeah, definitely. He's got some people in front of him, but again, running back whisperer there in Kyle Shanahan. So next,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go to Rashard Bateman, Ravens wide receiver. They drafted in the first round, pick 27. This guy, Ravens didn't answer the wide receiver question in the last 3 years. They tried. There's rumors they even go after Julio. I don't think the Falcons, if they move Julio, won't be until after June 1st to save money. But Rashard Bateman comes in, big body guy for Lamar, possible red zone target here. Keep an eye on him how the preseason goes and how the camp goes. If talk is around him, he could be a guy you can draft in that late, teen rounds, 12, 13, 14, 15, depending if you're in redraft leagues. And if not, pick him up on your waiver wire before week one and, just watch because he, again, could be that biggest red zone target for Lamar and finally be a wide receiver stud on the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of potential there. But as we always say with the Ravens pass offense, there's a lot of inconsistency. So just,
Not a lot of opportunity either.
right. So but there's a lot of potential there because it is an explosive offense, as we saw 2 years ago when Lamar won MVP.
Mhm.
All right, so our next sleeper here, Kadarius Toney. Now the Giants kind of shocked everyone when they took him in the first round. Later comes to find out that he was projected by scouts as a first round pick. Urban Meyer, actually the Jaguars head coach, said he was heartbroken when the Giants took him. They were hoping to
Yeah.
grab him at 25. So the few things with Toney that present risk are crowded wide receiver room. Obviously, they have Galladay, who they paid a lot of money, who's going to be on the field pretty much 90% of the time. Sterling Shepard in the slot, vet, been there for a while. Darius Slayton, a fifth round guy. A couple years ago, we drafted him. He proved that he could be fantasy relevant in some games and be a great player for us. And we brought in John Ross. So Toney is in a tough spot because there are a lot of guys ahead of him, but he is a first round pick, so he's going to make his way on the field. The next little question mark around him is Jason Garrett's offense is so cut and dry, where the tight end runs a stick route, the receiver runs a curl, and then there's one burner route, and it does if it doesn't develop, the O line can't hold up. Obviously, then nothing's there, and it's a waste. So if Garrett can evolve with the additions of college advisors we brought in to help the offense, then Kadarius Toney could be an elite weapon, sort of like a Curtis Samuel for us, and maybe you can throw him in your lineup every so often.
Yeah, and actually saw a statement. It was a grade on him. He actually was the highest, I want to say, in all of college football last year of forced missed tackles. And this is a stat that usually goes under the radar, but forced missed tackles are a good sign in a wide receiver and any player for that matter. It's very hard to judge that, but usually that leads to positive impact for fantasy and other in positive game script stats.
Right.
I think it was 35% of his forced missed tackle rate. So that's really high. And man, it just a lot of his jump cuts and everything can scare you a little bit because all it takes is one bad jump cut and there goes the knee. But let's
Yeah.
hope not. I'm excited for him. He's definitely got a special teams head coach too, and it could be fun to watch right there.
Right. And he's another one too.
Could be like
If you
another.
haven't watched his highlights, check him out because he's
He's
ridiculous
good.
on the field.
Yeah. All right. Next one we got. Same with the wide receivers here is Elijah Moore at the Jets. Kind of ties in what I said about Zach Wilson. About the quarterback, but Elijah Moore is a little bit under the radar just because you don't really see. I know we've been touching on wide receivers, but you don't really see wide receivers take off in their first year. We have though. It's not saying that you don't see it, but it's definitely one or two guys that do. There's other guys like this past season was Justin Jefferson, 100% blew up, which is awesome to see. But then there's guys like Ruggs who just don't work. So Elijah Moore definitely is a first round pick and can be utilized, right? First round pick?
No. He was
Second round.
second round. Yep.
Second round. All right, it's early second round. It was like 33. It was right after
Mhm.
or 34 after the Jags went. So yes, Elijah Moore here could definitely be used. He's a speedy guy. Could be that drag route guy that Zach Wilson likes to throw to in college. And rookie on rookie, it could be that new like chemistry they can build together and
Right.
really take that somewhere. And it's gonna be fun to see. And again, I want to touch on this. Robert Sala again with Shanahan motioning people, using Debo as a running back, like motion him and hand him the ball, like wheel route and stuff like that behind him. Um, Elijah Moore can do that again with Robert Sala. They can motion him behind, give the ball to him, wildcat, any sort of thing like that. So it'd be fun to see how they get him the ball.
Yeah, and obviously with Zach Wilson, he doesn't have any rapport or chemistry with any of these other wide receivers on the team. So Elijah Moore comes in, he dominates, they get a connection, he could
Yeah,
be, solid for fantasy.
yeah. All
Okay.
right.
You want this one? I know this is your heartbreak.
I mean, yeah, because I like the next two guys here, but I don't like where they both went. I'll go Javante Williams with the Broncos. I came in here before we shared our rankings together. I had Melvin Gordon, the RB1, like round. I think I had him 12th or 11th, and my partner here, Ryan, said I was crazy, and I said I need to relax with that, and I didn't give him the facts, but as we know, Shermer uses one running back, as we didn't see Lindsey at all last year. Lindsey then left. It was all Melvin Gordon. Then they bring in Bridgewater, who dumps it off a lot to the running back. We like that. You see that. And now they add Javante Williams, who's a great running back and was the third best running back in this draft. So he's going to be utilized some way, somehow. And all it takes is Melvin Gordon, who's been dealing with some injuries. last year, the year before mainly, and then 2 years ago with an ACL injury too, or 3 years ago now. So if he goes down, Javonte Williams is a smash spot to rise to the occasion and be an RB1, most likely an RB2, and get because the Broncos offense again is shaky with either quarterback. It's tough to watch, but he's definitely in a good spot to take over that role pending anything happening to Gordon.
Right. So just a guy, you either draft in the late rounds or you snag him for free and you just hold on, let him stash him on your bench and
Yep.
see what goes on. It's a good handcuff and potentially, a good role player.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, I'll go.
Hurts me
Travis Etienne.
again.
Now, this one's hard to diagnose here. Obviously, James Robinson was a stud last year. Undrafted free agent was his only knock. It's crazy how you can go from being an undrafted free agent and get praised for it for how good you do. So then it works against you. You're not owed any money and, no real ties with this new regime that's in there. And what do? They draft the first round running back. So he's going to most likely take over. James Robinson's going to have a role, but not a lot of work to go around there. So if it's a split backfield, that sucks. But James Robinson goes down or ETN completely takes over and you got him late because people are scared, that's great. And he could be an RB1. We saw it last year with James Robinson, and now there's an upgrade at quarterback. So
Yeah. And
I like
again, it's one of those things we touched on with Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore, the rookie connection. Well, guess what? ETN and Lawrence have played together in college the last 2 years. He
Yep.
already has that familiarity with that quarterback, how to get his quarterback out of trouble as a check down. So that's already going to be there. And I guarantee you, if anytime ETN's on the field and Lawrence is in trouble, he's going to go to ETN. It's going to happen. Rather, it's a 3rd and 7 scramble and they don't get the first down, but it's going to go to ETN. So I'm
Yep.
excited to see that. I was so excited for James Robinson too, but again, this hurts. But I like ETN so much. I just think it's eventually whatever happens to James Robinson, ETN can be a plug.
Yep. All right.
All
You want
right,
this one?
dude. I mean, Freiermuth, right? Tight
Firemuth.
Freiermuth, tight end from Penn State here on the Steelers. This is definitely a sleeper. Obviously, Ebron's there. But Ebron last year dealt with a lot of drops.
His whole career.
Yeah, let's make it note his whole career, a lot of drops. And the team passes. They're one of the other. Ben was one of the other quarterbacks in the NFL. I think there was 4 of them that threw for 600 passing attempts last year. So that goes. The ball gets thrown around a lot. And I know he's got Juju, Deontay Johnson, and Claypool, and they just had Najee, but they're not all going to get 200 targets each, so there's going to be a lot of targets there to go around. And if Ebron has any drop issues and they're done with him, or if he gets hurt and they just say, "Hey, man, next man up, this rookie can come in here and definitely put on a show," whether it's here and there. But again, we've seen the past rookie tight ends don't really do as well. It might take a little time, but definitely a guy you could definitely stash and watch. Keep a lookout on him.
And again, these are sleepers here, so not really expecting the world, but there is potential there. He's a phenomenal blocker. This
It's
guy.
yeah, it's
Um,
definitely a shot in the dark for these guys. Uh, the reason why we have these guys on here and not somebody different is just because these guys are talented to be in that spot. But right now, the position they're in, they're not gonna. It just doesn't have great impact. But you
right.
can definitely look at them, watch them throughout the whole summer. If nothing heats up, don't worry, but don't bank on them being your savior or your
Yeah.
steal of
Exactly.
your draft.
So again, back to what I was saying here.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal blocker, so he's going to be on the field quite a bit.
Yes.
The targets might not always be there, but the more you're on the field, the more potential there is for you to become an asset for your team. So if Big Ben, they get a little connection going. Like you said, it's rare for rookie tight ends to come and break out their first year, so this could be a wait and see type thing. But can't hurt to have a stash tight end with upside on your bench in
Yeah.
this landscape of tight ends that we're in. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'll take this one here. Kellen Mond, I like this guy. He is a Russian quarterback. I talked about him in our last episode too, I believe. This one is strict. He's not a guy you're going to draft because Kirk Cousins is the clear starter there, but he's a guy that you should keep your eye on if there's any sort of injury with Kirk Cousins. He has a good weapons around him. He has the rushing upside. He's a guy you can snag for cheap, for free. and maybe throw him out there as a streamer if Cousins is out and see what happens.
Yeah, I think this definitely lights a little spark under Cousins. I think he's the clear-cut quarterback they like, but they're thinking of the future and thinking if anything happens to Cousins to make sure he knows he can't really slack off and his job isn't secure at all times. I think it's a smart move.
Yep.
And like again, like you said, if he does go down, kill him on. Just watch him. He might sneak in there for a spot start if you really need it. But again, depending on how deep if you have two quarterback leagues, it'd be a stretch.
Sure.
Next, Chargers wide receiver, Josh Palmer they drafted. I like this pick, man. Outside of Keenan Allen, we've seen really Mike Williams have some good games last year, but then he's off the field a lot. He battles a lot of injuries. If anybody who watches Hard Knocks, there was a episode last year where he actually dealt with, I think, a knee injury. Like it popped, and he was like, "Oh, I fear that he tore his ACL," and he didn't. But then he still missed games, came back, had some great catches, missed games. Other than that, Josh Palmer could go for that wide receiver two on that team now behind Keenan Allen. And needless to say, Herbert phenomenal last year. Should build on it this year. He throws the ball 550 times to a year, so that offense is just going forward. They need a wide receiver too, and this potentially could be Josh Palmer.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Really, is the wide receiver two spot on that team is up for grabs. If he comes out there and he balls out, this is obviously he went fairly late in the draft. I believe it was a third or fourth round
Third.
pick, but with the COVID year, any of these guys could be studs that we didn't get to see enough film on. So there's going
Yeah.
to be a lot of breakout players, and if he comes in and he dominates, he could be a guy you can throw in your lineup.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take this one here. Tommy Tremble. I'm going to be completely honest with you, Meek. I have no fucking idea who this guy is. All I know is he's a tight end who got drafted to the Panthers, and they don't have a tight end.
Me
So
neither.
he's a sleeper off the bat right there. He could come in and be the guy there.
And Dan Arnold's in the Cardinals ain't gonna cut it. Never cut it in his career. Not gonna cut it there. So this tight end spot as a whole is up for grabs. Whoever plays well will get that. And
Yep, again,
of
sleeper.
course, there's Donald. Aaron Donald's there. Not Aaron Donald. Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is there, and he's a very shaky position.
There he says
Well, like Aaron Donald. Imagine Aaron Donald on the Panthers to be gotta be a freak
at quarterback.
at quarterback too. Might even freaking just keep it every time we get a touchdown. They should think about that. Rams should think about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one on the
Want this one?
list. Yeah, Amari Rodgers. Yes, we have Rodgers to Rodgers connection. Possibly, I doubt it. The way it looks like Aaron Rodgers is stern on not joining the Packers in 2021, but they finally got him a second wide receiver in the draft, or they drafted a wide receiver actually. Um, but the question remains with Aaron Rodgers. I personally, if Aaron Rodgers retires or doesn't return to the Packers, you can just scrap Amari Rodgers for good. Don't even think about it. If Aaron Rodgers somehow works out with the Packers and he plays, Amari Rodgers has a potential chance to get that second or third wide receiver spot on the team, and maybe gel somewhere with Aaron Rodgers and they can connect. I think they compared him to Randall Cobb on ESPN, which is kind of nice because Randall Cobb played with Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see.
Yeah, again, like you touched on, 100% dependent on Aaron Rodgers' future,
Yeah,
but
if
he could come in and be that number two.
if Aaron Rodgers does not play for the Packers, you can scrap everybody outside of Adams and Aaron Jones.
But obviously, with the amount of attention Devontae Adams gets, it could open up some nice targets there for him.
It definitely could. All
All
right.
right, I'll take this one here. The Texans drafted Nico Collins. So, not much hype around this guy. He is a good receiver. Obviously, you're getting drafted to the NFL. All these guys are good players, but there are 75 vacated targets from Will Fuller. If Watson does return, then this Nico Collins guy could step in. There's been other guys like Kiki Kuti you could throw in. I'm confident Nico Collins is better than Kiki Kuti, and Kiki Kuti can't stay on the field.
Yep.
So, again, this is another quarterback dependent one. If Watson's is out, count everyone out on this team. This team might win 0 games. So, just again, another sleeper to keep your eye on out there if Watson does get the okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say, man. That whole Watson scenario is crazy. So I just keep an eye on that. Next we'll go to the Chargers tight end Trey McKitty that they drafted here. Uh, losing Hunter Henry stinks for the Chargers. They bought in Jared Cook, yay. But Jared Cook I want to say last 2 years really hasn't amounted to much. You could have plugged him in last year with Drew Brees and banked down a touchdown to get you 12 points a week. Other than that, he wasn't really going to do much for you. He kind of is getting old. He's looking towards retirement most likely in a year or two. So Trey
Yeah,
McKitty can learn from him. There's a lot of targets that were vacated when Henry left. Almost 100 here. We got 93 exactly. McKitty could potentially find himself, as we said, there is no real wide receiver two there. So maybe they play a two tight end set and get a little blocking scheme going more, and they have two tight ends go out. We've seen other teams do it in the past. Uh, Maybe McKitty finds himself here, but it's one of those things where if you're deep on a tight end league or you need a tight end, just watch him. Jared Cook goes down, maybe he steps up. Just keep an eye on him too, because anything can really happen in the training camp, preseason games, and he is
yeah,
explosive. So, or not
agree.
a greatly explosive, but definitely just
Yeah,
keep an eye on him.
and this is just like they have Donald Parham there too.
Yeah,
So this is really just a complete dart throw. See who does take over that role.
yeah.
Um, that's it. That's all it is. It's a sleeper. All right, last one.
Go ahead, brother.
All right, Des Fitzpatrick. Tennessee Titans drafted him. Corey Davis has left behind 92 vacated targets and 65 for Jonu Smith. So a lot of targets to go around. AJ Brown is a locked-in wide receiver one. We all know that he gets the work done.
Yeah,
So they're missing that number two. Now Des Fitzpatrick could come in. He can get the Corey Davis esque target share. Maybe not from last year. That was more of an outlier for Corey Davis, but the previous years, 50 odd catches. So he's just a guy to keep an eye on. AJ Brown does deal with injuries. If AJ Brown would happen to miss time, Des Fitzpatrick could step right in and be the target for Tannehill.
yeah, and they lost Corey Davis, they lost Johnu, I think they lost Adam Humphries to go along with all of them, and they added Josh Reynolds, but Josh Reynolds didn't really amount to much at the Rams, so this could be a potential spot for Des Fitzpatrick to come in, win that job, win that third spot, potentially be the second guy on the team, be a slot guy or something where Corey Davis played and get some targets. So just keep
Yep.
an eye on it. It'd be fun to see.
Yep. You got anyone else here, Meek?
Man, I'm thinking. I don't know. I kind of like the list that we got.
Dude, it's hard.
Yeah, definitely. Again, sleepers are the people that you don't want to rely on. They're shot in the dark. You want to just keep your eye on them, but they're sleepers for a reason. They usually don't awake. Maybe once in a blue moon, these guys will erupt, wake up, and boom. It'd be really nice. Some of the guys we said earlier might have a higher chance, I think, than the other guys that we stated in the end. But other than that, just you want to watch these guys throughout, training camp, preseason, and
Yeah.
then during the regular season too, because the injuries happen once the season kicks off. We all know by like week 3, people start dealing with injuries more severe, and as they get closer to the bye week. So just keep an eye out on these rookies, guys.
Yeah.
Could That's it for me, man. I can't think of anybody else.
No, I think that's it. I think we touched a lot of bases here, a lot of upside guys. That makes sense, obviously, with the teams and the situations they're in.
Yeah,
So I think
uh,
that about wraps up the show here, Mike.
yeah, it does, man. And it was awesome. It was actually an excellent show outside of our little technical difficulty. But we'll scrap that. You guys, we no edit here, no editing here at all. Again, if you like the video, if you like us, please like the video, subscribe, put the bell on, get notifications when we have dropped a new video. As always, follow our socials at Two Dudes One Ball Fantasy Football or at Two Dudes One Ball FF on Instagram, at Two Dudes One Ball on Twitter. Please comment, tell us, give your feedback. We love it. We love every second of it, every minute of it. We read them, we take it to heart, and we're here to just help you guys as we get closer and closer to the season. We're in May. Before we know it, we're going to be in June at training camp and then pads and then preseason. So it's coming faster than we expected, and I'm excited,
Yeah,
dude.
man. I cannot wait.
Ah,
And
we'll start
that's it,
doing
man.
mock drafts on here too. It's gonna be
Oh,
so fun.
yeah. Fun couple of months coming up here, guys. So
Yes,
make sure,
sir.
again, like I said, follow the socials, subscribe, like, comment down below. And that's it for me.
Yeah, it's it for me. All right, everybody. Peace and love. As always, peace and
Bless.
love.
Thank you for listening to the Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.